Hello, everyone. Welcome to Forge's Narrative. My name is Paul, your host. We all about All Sauce Podcast. I'm joined tonight by Tanya Gates,
Hey, everybody.
Red Powell, and Adam Camilleri.
What up?
Oh, good day.
Welcome to the show, everyone. We've talked a lot about like the LVO, the Eldari, the Astra Militarum. This has been a packed month for Warhammer. Does not appear to be slowing down. Got the trailer for Astartes 2. Who's excited?
Me?
Oh, wow.
That trailer was amazing.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, like there had to over 10 chapters were on display, right? And like just beat by beat, shot by shot, that was out of control.
We mentioned in the last couple of shows we're going to be talking about some army lists, and I think it's appropriate to start with the Astra Militarum. I know they're not in the app yet. I think what do they update the app after the main release of the Codex comes out? I've kind of gotten used to using the app and building lists there, and it's like trying to get the high score on Battleforge. So it's killing me not yet. But we've gone analog and made some Astra Militarum list want to talk about. And but Red, you got an interesting one. We'll kick off with that one.
Oh man, yeah. No, I'm super excited. I won't release the. You have to message in the video or on the podcast deal to ask what the actual title of my list is, because I'm not going to release it to the public. But it's tank time. It's about time that we put all the tanks on the field. And it's not all the tanks. I bet you I could play around with a little bit of space, but it starts off right out the gate with 6 Dorns, 3 commanders, and 3 Dorn to follow. And
it's hard not to want to load up, though. Like, this is good data slate, brand new choice. Like, how, is one of them
right.
good?
I mean,
at
again,
least 3 of them must be better.
Well, and each Dorn commander can order itself and another squadron or 2 squadron vehicles. So there's this whole thing, in the real world where we've got this wingman concept, and this it plays exactly into that. So every Dorn commander has a wingman that rolls with them, and they just roll out, and that's 1,500 points right there.
Good old Cadian steel, Tannis steel.
That's right. Yeah, mine will be Tanith. I will, in my list, I'll also bring Gaunt's Ghost. And then along with Gaunt's Ghost, just as a great little infantry unit there, I'll bring about 40, so 2 units of Shock Troop Cadians, which are all modeled as my Tanith, and then 2 command squads attached to each one. So that's 40 Tanith or on the field with command squads, and I'll actually I'm stuck right now between the recon element or the Hammer of the Emperor, because the tank strats sound great, but at the same time making a bunch of Cadians that have cover on top of cover on objectives, and that can also sticky objective and can hold out, sounds really fun and durable, while the 6 tanks kind of roll around and Gaunt's Ghost does what it does. So that's kind of my take, and I think that's it sounds like a lot of fun. It may not be the most efficient, most effective, most competitive out there in all cases, but I think that someone could have a lot of fun.
Well, you got
I think
6.
It sounds like you don't want to make any friends with that list.
I think it'll make friends. I mean, just there's
having
answers to tanks out there.
6 chassis out there. I mean, the tank commander, Rogadorn commander, is 12 toughness 12, 18 wounds, and then the special ability, and that's called shot ability. Each time this model is selected to shoot, you can reroll 1 hit roll, roll 1 wound roll, and then 1 damage roll. So obviously, you want to take melt to take advantage of the reroll damage on that. And then the orders, the officer can order up to 2 orders to squadron units. And as you said, they are squadron units. So there's a lot of overlap there.
Yeah. I mean, and all of that, no enhancements, comes out to 1995 points. So sounds almost perfect.
No enhancements. Living dangerously.
Oh, yeah.
Gaunt's Ghost carries the day for me. It's got built-in enhancements.
Explain that. What do you mean?
Just with all the things that Gaunt's Ghost can do for the army, just with being able to uppy downy, and then on top of, I'm pulling them up right now, but they're as a unit. I mean, they didn't change from anything from beforehand, right? So it's the same thing.
Yeah.
But at this, they're still probably one of the best utility units out there. Looking at between infiltrators, lone operatives, stealth, the benefit of cover piece on top of what they've already got going if they take the recon element, and then just being able to pick them up and put them down. The orders will be helpful as well. 2 orders that they can pass out. I know the command squad's going to really take care of themselves, but it's just being able to throw that out there, and so pretty helpful. I'm looking forward to it because I know Gaunt's Ghost wasn't. It's not necessarily a staple for everybody, but they've always been a staple for me since they came out and released.
Oh, they definitely made it a bit of a mainstay in the list for all those abilities. I mean, they do get, like as you pointed out, they've got some built-in, like the tricks and fun stuff to end up hopefully score points.
Yeah, for sure.
And then the Cadian command squads have the Cadia Stands special rule. While this unit contains an officer, each time a ranged attack targets this unit, if this unit is within range of an objective marker you control, models in this unit have the benefit of cover against that attack. Is that like just your one of your gimmicks here, is just to give everybody more durability?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, so the Rogel Dorns come out already durable, right? I mean, they are what they are. We said T12, 18 wounds apiece. So that's 18 times 6. And then you take these squads, and they're 20-man squads. So, of course, I run the risk getting hit with blast weapons and everything. But if you take the recon element, they're getting that benefit of cover while they're on an objective. And then they're also getting an additional piece to cover, which is going to make them, I mean, they go from if I'm not mistaken, a 4-up armor save to now effectively a 2-up armor save. And against all the AP that's out there, you got to whittle through that. And then it's maybe not as durable as the Krieg might be, where if you were to take a Krieg squad, they could have the meta pack and then also get a 6-up feel no pain. But with the command squad and everything, the Cadians will get they can return D3 in the command phase, and so you'll sit there and just plus it up. But then I think the utility of having sticky objectives will also you'll be able to take advantage of the backfield and midfield with this element, while the Rogel Dorns really try to soak up a lot of the attention and deliver a lot of pain themselves. So
you cannot ignore the Rogel Dorns. I think you're exactly right, and I like the cover on cover type approach to that too, because I think you're going to see a bunch of like scatter lasers in your future.
Oh yeah. Well, and again, it's just, I mean, you could probably focus down a squad, I'm sure, but if you're focusing on these squads, there's still these tanks rolling around that can cause their own problems, and each Rogel Dorn's 5 OC5, and so they can hold their own on an objective to a point.
Yeah, the Australian internet is seemingly attacking Mr. Camilleri. Can't tell if he's back yet or not.
I'm good. I'll see how long I can maintain. Yeah, the two kangaroos that power the Australian internet are now quite sleepy, unfortunately.
It's been a long January. I think we felt every day of this January.
Indeed. I love that list, Red. It's sick.
It's fun, right?
I mean, yeah. Tables where you're just going to have to like pay a CP to use your army to go through a wall, but who cares? It's cool. Oh wait,
yeah.
Are you in recon? You're in recon.
Yeah, if I put it in the recon, so that we were just talking about it, you missed all the conversation of what it does for the Cadians. It makes with Cadia Stands, putting them on an objective. But I was debating on whether or not I went with the Hammer of the Emperor for all the different tank strats, but honestly, I think the natural benefits to the Cadians might make it more worth in the straightforward durability of the list.
Nice.
Yeah, mentioning like the volume of fire, like I think it's just going to get even more impressive, like when Eldari hit. And we're going to talk, at least I will talk a little bit about that, because I think they're going to make such an impact that we're going to see a shift in like how people build their list because it's going to inject some power into the meta sauce.
Sure.
And it sounds like this actually lists. I mean, you're creating like a couple of different like pockets of how do you approach it, and all of them are kind of durable. I don't. It sounds pretty good. And who doesn't like a bunch of tanks rolling across the tabletop?
I know. I mean, you got to admit, 6 Dorns would look pretty good, right?
Oh yeah.
Well, it's anybody's list out or anybody's game out there right now. Like what we're seeing in events is a like a real diversity in the top tens of what's there's not like one codex or one list that is dominating everything. You've got to run through a true gauntlet of potential different things to make it through an organized play event, which is showing like a bunch of lists crawl out is being good.
Right. Yeah, you got to be able to handle all sorts of things. We're not just seeing everybody playing the exact same thing over and over and over again. There are standard net lists and metas to certain areas and certain regions, but just with there's such a wide variety. I think that people are enjoying being able to go in and dive into people's lists nowadays, because you're not just pulling up so-and-so with list X, Y, and Z and saying, oh, it's your standard whatever. It's there may be some staples, right? I think that talking to a friend of mine, whatnot, the 40 Cadian shock troopers with 2 command squads doesn't sound like a horrible staple. Last week we talked about the Eldari and 2 Warwalkers, 2 Vipers, and the Spider. All of them. That sounds like an okay staple to throw in the background but there's so many other different possibilities for the different lists, and so you can't just say, oh, I'm stuck fighting Custodes. It's going to be just a bunch of Wardens again.
Yeah. Brought up a good point about the Dorns being OC5. I don't know that we've highlighted that in some of our analysis before.
I mean, it's just one of those things that when there's 2 of them sitting on there, or a third one somehow manages to roll up and just sneak a little corner onto the range of an objective,
over and over it, with a
just 15 OC sitting on an objective, like, and I imagine if there's 3 Dorns on an objective, there's little room for anything else.
Yeah, that is true. No, I look, when you play this, let us know. It's
I will.
And 10, you have a list also.
I have a couple of lists, but do you want the silly one? Or do you want the less silly one?
What's your definition of silly?
My definition of silly is like
meme tier?
Yeah.
Hit us.
Okay. So this list is something that I was theory crafting with some people, and it's a little bit ridiculous. So you kind of have to take Lord Solar in order to make it work. So you've got Lord Solar with his Cadian command squad and his Cadian shock troops. And then you've got a Cadian heavy weapon squad with las cannons, a Cadian heavy weapon squad with las cannons, a Cadian heavy weapon squad with las cannons, and a Catachan heavy weapon squad with las cannons, all inside of a Stormlord.
Yes.
With a Tech Priest engine seer.
Yes. I love this.
You're winning right now, Tanya.
This?
Yep, you're winning.
Yes.
You haven't even put the army on the table, and you've already won.
I would also like to say that my list altogether is 2,000 points on the nose. So I do think that maybe it has some play. So it is in the Hammer of the Emperor. So this Stormlord can just be like, surprise, I'm no longer behind this wall. And so the other stuff that I have in the list, I've got a Rogaldorn commander with veteran crew.
There's more points.
There's more crew. There's more points. And then he also has his Tech Priest engine seer. I've got 2 units of Death Corps of Krieg. I've got a unit of Ratlings, 2 units of 5 Tempestus Scions, 2 Armored Sentinels, 2 Scout Sentinels, and Hellhound.
I don't know what memes you have been looking at. This sounds pretty stout.
Does it actually?
So a toughness 13, 24 wound tank with the special rule, mount up. At the end of your opponent's movement phase, if there are no models currently embarked within this transport, you can select one friendly Astra Militarum infantry unit that is wholly within 6 inches of the transport, unless this unit is within engagement range, that you can embark on the transport. And this is the one with the Vulcan megabolters, right?
Yeah.
Vulcan megabolters. Sustain hits 1, 20 shots. Hitting on 4, strength 6, neg 1, 2 damage.
Yeah, but I don't care about that. I care about all the las cannons.
True.
It's just going to be rocking around.
Yeah,
Popping
16
off.
las cannons. You can give it the order from Lord Solar to get +1 to hit, so they're all hitting on 3s.
Oh, yeah.
Let's go.
Love it. Love it.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Well, we've seen las cannons make their way into list on Deb Centurions and stuff like that. So, and this is a higher quantity of las cannons, arguably on a more durable chassis when you factor in the Stormlord.
Yeah. I'm not entirely sure if the -1 damage strat in Hammer of the Emperor is locked to non-Titanic.
Most of them are, but
I
I
think
can
there's
tell
2
you.
stratagems
Check.
that aren't. I think
I
that
can
might
tell
be
you
one of them.
right now.
Because you could always do that too. So you've got a 2-up, 4-up, -1 damage smoke. Try to kill my big tank.
Doesn't say it can't be
Militarum
Titanic.
vehicle. Yeah.
Yeah, baby. You got it.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's my tank. Don't touch it.
That's the ablative plating. Your opponent's shooting phase just after an enemy unit has selected its targets. One Astra Militarum vehicle unit from your army that was selected as the target of one or more attacks. This attacking unit's attacks until the end of the phase. Each time an attack is allocated to your unit, subtract 1 from the damage characteristic of that attack.
Yeah.
It's 2 CP, so
It's 2 CP, but
You got Lord
I was
Solar.
thinking about this one. Right, you got Lord Solar, and I was thinking about this detachment and that stratagem in particular at 2 CP. Like, I don't know if you're necessarily as worried about CP as much with just some of where those strats are. And then 2, I think it's better that you're able to focus that stratagem on one big tank versus like the one I was talking about with 6, because if I were to use it on 1, then the smart player facing me would just target something else. But when you say, hey, here's the castle, and I'm just going to lock it down with this stratagem, I think that's you're really capitalizing on that.
I didn't think about efficiencies. I just thought that this gunship party bus is the most fun
I don't know,
thing.
putting
that I could
everything in
possibly-
one thing.
That's also a better way to approach this, 100%.
Also, like, you could put the ratlings inside because they're actually a pretty decent little screen in a way, because they can hop out, they can shoot, and then they can move a little bit closer to keep stuff far away.
Yeah, I like that. You should be calling that on the side of that Stormlord. It should be called the basket.
The
Because
best,
all your eggs in it.
There's room though. I could put Bulgrins in it.
It-
If I could find the room for Bulgrins, I could put them in it.
It does have, this model has a transport capacity of 40 Astra Militarum, as a firing deck of 12, but holds 40 Astra Militarum. Each Ogren model takes up the space of 3 models.
Yeah.
It cannot transport artillery. If there had to be a drawback.
Exactly right.
I got my las cannons. It's all I need.
That's it.
And it also has las cannons on it.
It
got
does.
4,
There's
yeah.
4. Yeah.
Yeah, that's and las cannons. Something again. It's crept its way back in. Strength 12, neg 3 AP, d6 + 1 damage.
Hot.
Yeah, that's no slouch. I don't know. I don't know if this is meme tier. I think there's enough.
It's a pretty big meme.
I don't know. So if you can drive it through up to the middle piece of terrain.
Yes. Well, it can use crash through. So it crash through is not Titanic excluded.
I get it. But you need to crash through the next turn. So you got to get it there and then crash through.
Yeah. It has to keep crashing. It only crashes through.
It can effectively probably just zot down anything that really threatens it.
I just wish you could Overwatch.
Does the
It's probably
does the
good that
engine-
it's probably good that it can't, but it can't.
Does the engine? Yeah, because it's Titanic, it can't Overwatch. Yeah. Does the engine series still give it the 4+ invulnerable save?
You
does.
betcha, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds
Coin
rough.
flipping those multi-melters.
Yeah.
You're muted, Red, if you're talking.
Thanks. I'm glad the dude with bad
I
internet
gotcha.
connection could tell me.
Yeah, I gotcha.
No, but
Don't worry. I'm here for you, baby.
There's this thing with real tanks, right? So typically, and I don't think that the Baneblade chassis is much different.
He's going to
But
tell
so
you
with
need a
Abram-
wingman Stormlord. You need another.
Yes.
Well, I mean,
You
yes,
need
yeah,
two
that,
every
100%
Stormlord needs a
agree
little
with
friend. It's a happy little
correct.
friend.
Yeah, just a Rogel Dorn to follow it around. Make
Right.
sure it, like would call that a security blanket, Rogel Dorn. No, but to the tech priest hanging out in the back, it always makes me laugh because in real world, so Abrams tanks, the exhaust is in the back, and so you understand this thing's a jet engine, so like it's pretty hot back there. Well, when it's cold outside and it's freezing, there's quite frequently where I would when I was a tank commander and you look behind and there's someone back there trying to get
Yeah.
warm. Legitimately, because they're just hanging out like right in the exhaust, just soaking up that sweet, jet fuel fumes. But when it's negative something outside or it's bitter cold or whatever, nobody's complaining because it's like a sauna right there. And I always laugh because that tech priest plays right into that. He's just hanging out in the back, just trying to stay warm. Doesn't want to, just got to keep this thing going because this is his heat source.
That's right.
Don't worry about anything else it's doing. It's just his heater. It's keeping him going. It's always funny. Any tankers or particularly any infantrymen out there that have served will know anytime they've been around tanks, it's a perfect heat source for that purpose. That's why it's the most important thing on the battlefield right there.
The ancillary benefits of
All the guns, armor, and stuff. Yeah, that's the ancillary. It's the heat. That's the main purpose.
a long time ago, when this is before Ogren had any, like they were not good. We kind of theorized that the only way to make them good is if you could launch them into combat via an Ogren launcher, which was a converted Stormlord tank with a catapult on the back.
So good.
And she would fling Ogren into combat. That's not a real thing, although there is a model of it. It's right up there. So cool.
Amazing.
Oh, good times. No, I think so. Lists like this, I mean, I know, all jokes aside, it like kind of creates a weird like problem for your opponent to solve. It's like there is terrain. They're gonna have a hard time targeting this. They might not bring to bear every single thing that they can or should bring on this one tank, and that's where all your stuff is. And this one tank has the ability to crash through the walls and like burn down. I mean, I'm not saying storm surges are a thing or whatever, but the anti-Titan model on their side, the one thing they have, can get the jump on them and take it out because of all the las cannons. And then there was a bunch of other things in the list to do the scoring. So while they're maneuvering around trying to figure out how to contain this beast, you are able to, like, if you were able to get on 2 or 3 objectives, might control at least the first half of the game.
Yeah, and that's sort of what the Sentinels are there for, because they're vehicles, they actually get a lot of support through the stratagems as well. So that's why there's so many of those.
And the Sentinels, their ability still buffs the Stormlord, right? Is there any kind of exclusion for that?
No, I think it's just Astra Militarum units.
Well, I'm gonna pull up that rule just so everyone is familiar with it. Unless y'all have it on the is it Armor Sentinels?
No, it's Scout Sentinels.
Scout Sentinels, yeah. At the start of the shooting phase, select one enemy unit within 18 inches invisible to the unit until the end of the phase. Each time a friendly Astra Militarum model makes an attack, that unit, you can reroll hit rolls of 1.
That's right. Hitting on 3s, rerolling 1's not bad.
Yeah, and then with sustained hits, 1. I mean, I know nobody cared about the Vulcan Mega Bolter a few minutes ago, but it is damage 2 and his 20 attacks with sustained hits, rerolling 1. So I mean, I don't know. It seems pretty good. I mean, especially with all the marine bot, like Adeptus Astartes are of course out en masse. They're always going to be, and like it's a really good like chassis for turning down Astartes bodies.
Mhm.
Nobody likes being hit in the face with a las cannon, and all the vehicles and stuff we've seen. What did we see this past couple of weekend? We saw ballistic dreadnoughts
Mhm.
and things like Thunderstrike land speeders. They
they-
are allergic to las cannons.
Yeah, they
Like,
really don't like las
no,
cannons.
like that stuff is yeah. And
Imagine
mine-
16 of them.
Just picking stuff up.
So I don't mind. I don't know. I don't mind it. No, it sounds pretty good. Are you going to give this a go?
I am. Yeah, I'm gonna give it a go. I think next week I'm gonna find the excuse to play it.
Oh, I think the one like potential drawback is of course they get the jump on you and get over there and like, well, you know what? We're just going to stab this thing down real quick.
Yeah, I'm hoping that I can do some move blocking with the Scout Sentinels, and then if I need to, I can infiltrate with the Ratlings, and I have some ways to deal with like really fast-moving pressure armies. I don't have a lot of tools though, so
You could ring. I mean, those bodies in the infantry squads, even the Ratlings too. Like they can provide screens.
Yeah.
To block off the charges. It's not the end of the world. If you have to give up one unit in order to make that happen, to buy that turn for that tank to really shine, is probably not a bad thing. No, good luck with it. Well, look, thanks for sharing those lists. I'll put them in the show notes, and people can experiment as they so choose. Let us know what if you're brewing a Astra Militarum list out there. Let us know. I do think that the was it Dreer, the new special character, we talked about that being a highlight. Yeah, Lord Marshal Dreer. I think people will include that character even if they do not take the Death Riders because of just the ability to bounce back up on things.
Yeah.
Not in the theme of the y'all's list, but I mean I think that's something that is something you could brew around that if people are brewing list out there.
Yeah, my other list that I have is like a teams play list that is kind of designed to go into really bad matchups and still score points, and he's in it. And he's been pretty good actually. So I've used him a couple times, and I've used him 3 times actually. The first time I used him, he did not get back up when he died.
Oh no.
But I mean, that checks out,
Happens
right?
to everybody.
Like new model syndrome. But yeah, no, he was really good. He scored me a lot of points. So I think for what I need him to do, I think he's going to be excellent.
Nice. All right. Well, cheers. Thanks for sharing that. We're going to take a quick break, come back, talk some more Warhammer. See y'all in a minute.
FTN is brought to you by Discount Games Inc. Please visit them at www.discountgamesinc.com. And don't forget to ask Jay about ways to save even more on your hobby projects.
We are back, everybody. Hope you enjoyed the break. Please check out our sponsors if you have not already. Doing great stuff, especially with all this stuff to pre-order. Like, there's all stuff out there that, you got to get that Warhammer fix. I've been guilty of that as well. I got my faction dice for the Eldari. You know that I cannot go without getting the faction dice. Even though I'm like remotely interested in playing which I'm very interested in playing the Eldari, but even if I just kind of think I might want to play the faction, I still get the dice if I can, because I want to have them when I play with those.
Sure.
So I don't know if it's FOMO, but I just really like theme dice.
I don't know why. I just picture you having like a vault, with like the spinning wheel, and you open it up and it's just like all these themed dice throughout the ages. They're all in their little stasis fields.
That's not too far from it. Like I think about it, like making like almost like one of those collage, things or whatever, like encasing it, like it put all the dice with the cool pictures on 6s and putting them in acrylic or something like that. not unheard of. It's very possible. But especially, I like rolling dice that match my army in some way. And I think, what a world that we live in that you can do that.
For sure. I mean, at the LVO Horus Heresy event, I got a bunch of different. I mean, I have like the GW 30k Night Lord dice, and then Baron of Dice has a bunch of other different variations that I got that kind of played into it. To your end, it's awesome to be able to just roll all this thematic looking dice that goes along with your army or whatever, your favorite flavor of it. It was pretty cool. I'm with you.
Some portion of my Instagram is just about, the model of the faction with the dice faction of the faction next to it. And if I can get it on the objective marker of the, of the faction in question, even better.
So I'm like that weirdo that doesn't have faction dice. I just always have whatever dice are like speaking to me at the moment until they stop rolling well, and then they go into the bad boy bin, and then I don't look at them for a couple years. Yeah.
Solid.
Yeah.
But
look, sometimes I match my fingernail polish to my armies. If I'm going to a big event, that's like the thing that I do.
I can appreciate that. That sounds really awesome. Yeah. Really
matching
awesome.
Dice, matching fingernails, it works.
That's right.
We want to talk about the Astartes 2 trailer.
So man,
that hit, I think today, right? It might have been, well, at the time of recording.
It was a couple days ago. Yeah.
And that is like got people really enthusiastic.
Should.
So the thing that I've always kind of wondered about Warhammer kind of films and things like that is how are they going to capture the scale of the Imperium in particular, right? If you've ever read Eisenhorn, I think it's the second one. I'm not entirely sure, but there's like this giant parade.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and like the entire time I'm reading about this parade, the scale is hard to imagine in your brain, let alone how it translates onto the screen. But I think maybe from the little snippets that we've seen that Astartes 2 is pretty close to capturing the absolute horrific scale of the Imperium, and I'm very excited to see that.
So it's made by the artist Peterson is his last name. Astartes 1 is a great clip. You can watch it on Warhammer Plus TV. You can watch it on YouTube. It's all over the place. Great stuff. He's credited, I don't know the exact extent, but he is credited with the secret in whatever contribution to the secret level episode that you can see on Amazon. So clearly his work has translated across the scope. And then this trailer drops and it says 2026. So we've got unfortunately another year to wait this out. But to your point, Tanya, he just in a lot of ways, from Astartes to secret level, he does a really good job with the animation and how it captures the scale of the Space Marines. They aren't just cartoony. I mean, they seem right, but you can tell they're big, right? You can tell that they're larger than the humans that are present in some of it. And then he does a thing in how the actions are almost accelerated, like they move so suddenly and so fast that for something so big, it's almost alarming. It's like watching, an unfortunate car crash or something, except it just happens to be ceramite armor and Space Marines. And it's really, even that minute and 24 seconds, that's how long the Astartes 2 clip is. It's that good that it deserves a conversation. I tried to do it by myself. I admit that I couldn't do it all alone, but I had to go look up. I think that this is a pretty good premise because it shows a series of different Space Marines, and it shows it flashes in their helmets, right? And I think so. I was good. I caught the Retributors is the first one, the skull being held in the fist, and that was a cool little clip. And then the Blood Angels, Paul, if you that one, you kind of
I spotted that one,
yeah, super obvious. So the green one with the skull inside the star, that's the Sons of Medusa. So that's a break from the Iron Hands. It's a secondary or successor chapter. and then the mortifactors. The mortifactors was the one that's like the skull looking mask. But before that, I'm sorry, was the Scythes of the Emperor, which is the black and yellow with this clear, like obvious scythes on it. And that action, I mean, just from each one to each one and like where it was going was, I think we saw like Chaos Space Marines in the first bout. Like that was the first enemy we saw. I don't think we got to see what the Blood Angels were fighting. We just saw them flying, which was probably more than enough for the time being. Couldn't really see what the Sons of Medusa were fighting, but we did get to see like their tanks. And it's funny, I was joking around with some friends as we were watching this, and they were like, "Big deal, the tanks are just rolling down a road." I was like, "No, they're rolling. They're cruising. Like they were like hard driving." And then not only are they just driving, they're shooting. I mean, like they were. It was just as much action as anything else. And then you get to the size of the Emperor, and they're fighting orcs, and the action scene of them just going back and forth, and there's this awesome looking scene of like it looks like maybe some champions or something on top of a wall or whatever, and they've got like capes, you know, for whatever tactical efficiency you get out of having capes. They look awesome, so we're not going to take that away from them. But
you just couldn't help yourself. Just couldn't help.
Can't, man. I mean, hey, here's the first thing: everybody's got a helmet on. Everyone is smart. Everyone in these movies is smart. And then you see the mortifactors. It looked like they were fighting Tyranids. And so I think it's a cool little thing. And so the last image you see is a Terminator helmet with a Death Watch symbol. And so some of the assumptions going around the internet is that these are like 4 or 5 members of a Death Watch kill team, and you're going to get to see like their little origin stories that build up
how they got
getting
weeded
to
out
that
or
point.
chosen for the Death Watch. Is that
something or just their background, like, or whatever that eventually leads to it. Yeah. So I mean, if it's 5 episodes of those different little things, and then it's a closeout episode of them as a kill team, we're done. This is some of the best stuff we've seen in a while. It's crazy.
I know, like, folks have been immediately looking forward to it. Like, finally, like, I mean, that's people clamor. Like, every Warhammer Plus, like, post is like, where's this? When's this coming? Well, I mean, soon. Or I guess soon is relative, but at least on the horizon.
Soon is relative. Yeah. If it's going to be all that, I will wait for that. It's going to be good. I mean, it seems like a lot of it's already there. He's just got to probably flesh out some things, and I think it'll be great. Can't wait for that. I know everybody, if you saw Astartes 1, like, everybody wants more of that, right? There's a whole story piece to it, and you get a glimpse of all these other things that could happen or were going to happen. And so it's really cool to see his efforts continue.
Nice. That creative spark, you know, is like being wrapped into the official stuff. I think is really neat. Kind of like maybe a little bit of inspiration for folks that would be wanting to do that kind of stuff. Nice, kind of see it happen, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm also extremely happy that the orcs were as big as the Space Marines. You know, because in a lot of like the models and whatnot, the orcs are not quite big enough to match the lore, and I feel like they're big enough in this.
Yeah. I mean, you see them, just a whole group of them take down one of the size of the Emperor. I mean, again, you know, I saw a funny meme that was like orcs in the lore, and it was like this like monstrosity, like just like, you know, hands covered in blood, just crushing it. And then it was like orcs as like they're like portrayed, and it's like this like cartoony, like drunk, like off, you know, it's just can't even get its stuff together. And that's my problem, man. I can't reconcile. The lore has some crazy stuff, and this Astartes 2 made the orcs like look crazy, like crazy good, right? I mean,
one orc almost killed the Emperor, right?
I'm not, well, a super big orc on Olenor, like that's a whole other thing.
A giant orc.
Yeah, not one of these like cartoon drunk, like, you know, posh orcs. Like, I can't even get with it. I can't even like.
You've seen the primer, right? Like in the infantryman's primer. Like, I think it's.
Oh yeah.
I think that's kind of how they describe the orc, or if I remember right.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like a joke.
Well,
orcs are not a joke.
Reality is much different, right?
I mean, y'all keep painting them in yellow. I don't know how to take them anything
My
else. so.
goodness. I know.
Mine are blue.
Yeah, you got points for that.
Hey.
Not yellow. That's right.
Oh, nice. Coming up later this year, actually not too far away from it now, is Adepticon. I will definitely be at Adepticon this March 26th to the 30th. It's like almost a full week of Warhammer stuff.
I'm hoping I can sort out work. I don't know right now. It's not looking good, but I'm hoping I can be there if it works out.
Previously, it was in Chicago, like for the entirety of the
moved
run.
it.
It's been in Chicago, and now it's moved to Milwaukee. And I'm kind of at a loss. I don't know anything about Milwaukee. I've never been to
Gotta
Milwaukee.
find a new burger joint.
Right. I mean, Kuma's Corner, like I'm already missing it. I'm having like pre-misses of Kuma's Corner.
Pre-withdrawals.
Yeah.
Early, yeah.
And speaking of which, Kuma's Corner the last couple of years had started releasing dice, commemorative dice.
Oh, snap. You're going to miss this year's round of dice.
Well, I don't know that they'll have them this year without Adepticon being there. But I kind of like this. I should call them and tell them so they know, just in case.
That's right.
So you're not really too sure about like the restaurants and things, but I'm not like all up on American culture, but I was under the impression that Milwaukee was sort of known for breweries.
Yeah, there are. I think there are a bunch of breweries.
Yeah.
There. So,
Brew pubs. They have great
cannot go
brew.
wrong with trying to find some place. So if anybody is local and knows of places that we should hit around the Baird Center, please do not hesitate to let me know because I'm very curious. Once, I've heard that it's in a place that is somewhat accessible to get out and about town. Where it was previously, there really wasn't like places that were super close. Like other than, thankfully, Kuma's Corner, so there were places that were close, but not like unique, specific places with a lot of character outside of Kuma's. But I hear this place has more unique places kind of nearby. But you didn't really miss that at the other place because the hotel was cool. Like routinely you would find groups playing like board games and other types of games all around the lobby and communal areas at the lobby. So I didn't mind it as much. But at the same time, I'm very anxious to see if there are any breweries and burger places around there. Maybe an occasional taco place around the Baird Center. So if anyone has any insight or any intel, please let me know and pass it along to the crew so we can figure out what to do with our excursions from Adepticon. And I have no reason to suspect they're not going to knock it out of the park, but this might be a different Adepticon.
Sure, sure. I mean, they had to move to space, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm curious.
Sorry, Ken.
Yeah, I'm curious about the team tournament because the Adepticon team tournament is supposed to be some of the craziest fun that you can have. Are they still doing, or is it a 5-man? Is it an 8-man?
4.
There's a 4-man,
Four.
and I think there's going to be an 8-man also, if I remember.
So, but it's like the 8-man is the more novel, or I say novel, the more like the 8-man team tournaments you're seeing stand up more so across the wider circuit, right?
Which is just based on competition, like just general
Right,
path
correct.
to victory. The Adepticon 4-player team tournament is kind of the team tournament. It's one of the crown jewels of Warhammer. If you are able to win
it's a
that
tradition.
thing, yeah. If you're able to win that thing, you've not only run the gamut on competition. You had to play your way through, but you've also had theme, you've had sportsmanship, you've had display. Like it's one of those. It's a pageant. It's a pageant that is incredibly hard to win and navigate. They typically have non-standard missions,
right?
And then but it's basically a very much non-standard format that people game towards in game 2. And it is one of those long-standing, venerable events that people still really pride themselves on wanting to attend and build around. It's a fabulous event. Great culture of what they've been able to put together and achieve at Adepticon. And I think
100%.
that is that uniqueness originally. What are they on? 25, 30, something like that of Adepticon.
They are
It's like
along the
25. I
line.
think it's like
Yeah.
20 something of Adepticon, have built around that and continued to foster that culture, which has been amazing. But it's not just about Warhammer there. When I say this is one of the events that has like the closest to a convention that our hobby has, because of the scale of the number of people that are there. I mean, there's, like Red mentioned, I think they exceeded 7,000 or whatever last year, so they had to expand. And everywhere you go, there's some other game system in every hall, every room that people are playing. And that's all. That could be the only thing they do that weekend, and they'd be just fine with it. And then you've got a bunch of people hanging out in the main lobby hall, and different games starting, firing off all over the place. People making friends with each other. People hanging out to all hours, and then getting up and do it again. Yeah, it's a good time. But the team tournament, sorry, specifically the question is that it has a very specific and sometimes mysterious, and I don't mean that in a bad way, criteria and judging for how you actually come across to take the crown. There's a little bit of like X factor that you've got to have in your performance and your execution of your display and theme.
The first, just as an example, the first year I went, we were still trying to figure it out, but a buddy of mine went and he brought his team, and 4 people all were playing Tau, but their display board was awesome. It was just like valley, like rich green, like goblin green valley, with a river. And then there were a bunch of like Viking, like river boats, and all the Tau, no joke, had like cartoonish Viking helmets on them. And all the players had Viking helmets that matched those Viking helmets. And then they all had drinking horns. And they ended up winning. They took the Spirit Award home for it. And like, yeah, it's just like that. It kind of is just an example of the team approach to it. And it's always stuck with me seeing that event and seeing what came out of that, and then from hearing from everyone, from Paul, your experiences, and from other people's, that it's always been something that friends wanted to go do, to really put their best foot forward in a hobby approach way to meet the composition of Adepticon that has stood the test of time. It's not, you don't go to this team tournament necessarily because it's going to get you points in something else or whatever. You go to Adepticon to enjoy Adepticon. And I could feel that even with just that first time I went. And so I really wish I could make it this year, because I just, after that one, I've always wanted to go back and enjoy it again.
That's a great way of describing it. Like, it is a destination event in the truest sense, for the fun. I mean, the scale is something now it's grown to, but there's the fun of it as
sure.
And in that, when you're trying to make, like, now the army list, how you make an army list has become a little bit more streamlined, with the way the game works. But before, the army list had its own set criteria. Like, you had to basically have lists that could always mash together and form a legal list. And that was, with force work charts and that kind of stuff, not always easy to do. And with the way the 4-person team would work out, you have to rotate playing with each one of your partners throughout the course of the game, or the course of the tournament. You were basically forced to always have a legal list, which meant that there was always like one awkward pairing of the least efficient like matchup stuff, and you had to really try to army list build to minimize that. And it was created a set of problems that were fun to solve for that event, that you knew that there were 100 other teams also trying to solve for at the same time. So you felt like you're part of something and doing something, and when you got there, and the sheer spectacle of it all is hard to rival, even years later. But yeah, now it's going to be in Milwaukee, which same crew are running. It's not like it's different people. It's the same crew. Like the culture and everything I know is going to translate to the event. I have no concerns about that going into it. But I just want to know, where am I going to be eating after the fact? After that game 3 is done, the last comment has been uttered. How do I get out of there? And and refuel. But who knows? Well, I got a little time to research that. This is going to be March 26th through the 30th, so kind of just around the corner. But at the same time, I know a lot of people are busy planning, getting their army ready for all the events that happen. And it's not just the one tournament there. I do think that the 4-person team tournament is like it is the crown jewel, the big thing to go and compete for. But there's lots of other events there too. It's huge on the Age of Sigmar side. It's huge on basically every miniature game. This is a big event for them. Even some other vendors are going to be having like exclusive things or things you can only get there for the first time. Yeah, maybe you can get those. I don't know this for a fact, but like maybe the event only miniatures at the Games Workshop booth for this year. There's a lot of exclusives there too. So anyway, there's it's a big deal, and really looking forward to it and seeing what they can do in a different space. And I know Milwaukee's not that far from Chicago, so it's probably going to get a lot of the same people, plus all the extra people that are going and being part of this thing from all around the world. It's one of the original events that drew an international crowd.
Sort of in the same vein of like events and traveling, the thing that has kept me from wanting to travel is not having like a system to transport my models with in a plane. And so a lot of the different options that people were telling me were like plexiglass sort of containment systems that have like magnetic trays and stuff. And like I have no upper body strength because I play roller derby, so like everything is in my legs, and I'm short. So I was like, this is really heavy, and I've got to like put it up above my head. Like none of these are gonna work. And then I have an event coming up in June that I need to bring 3,000 points for. So I was like, it certainly is not going to fit into that, but I made it my goal this year to find a system that would work, and I did it. I'm not even out of January. I did it. I've got it. It's light. I can lift it over my head, and it fits 3,000 points, and I can bring a Baneblade chassis in it. Safe and sound.
I say safe and sound, so it's not like a pillowcase.
No. No, it's like this big, I don't know. Maybe we could talk about it one time.
No, what is it?
Okay, so I got
they're not sponsoring us, but
No, because you can't. It's all just bits and pieces I got off Amazon. So it's a carry-on backpack, right? So it's carry-on size. It's quite big, but it's legal to go in the overhead. And then I got a bunch of, they're like magnetic closing gift boxes. So they are cardboard, but they are nicer. They've got like coating on them and stuff. So they're very like sturdy. And then I got soundproofing acoustic foam that you can cut to size.
Fancy stuff.
Nice.
Yeah, and so all of it all together, including the bag, was about $130. And like I can take the bag and do this. And like nothing moves, nothing breaks. You can't hear nothing inside the bag except my dice.
You hear your model screaming, "Stop shaking us!"
They're used to it. I am a hurricane. Yeah.
Nice. No, send us some links. Maybe we'll throw those in the show notes too, because anybody's curious as to what you cobbled together. That's our show this week. Got lots of stuff planned. This is just the tip of the iceberg as far as like what's happening with Warhammer. Cannot wait to talk about all the cool stuff as we learn it. As it comes about, let us know about your guard list. What are you planning? I need some inspiration. So I did not share when I've not landed on a list that I'm wanting to go out with next, but I'm going to pull a little inspiration from column A, column B, see what's happening. I'm also a big fan of the Rogodorn tank commanders. I don't know that I'm going with quite the number that you've got, Red, but I'm a big fan of the Stormlord. I'll tell you that. That is for sure as well. But so maybe a little column A, column B. But yeah, that's our show this week. Please don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Leave us some 5-star reviews if you have not already. Please also comment if you're in a place where you can comment. You can comment on Spotify now. You can comment on YouTube. We're publishing to YouTube as well. We'll see you all next week, everybody.
Bye,
Have a
everybody.
good night.
Vindicators of Blood Angels for the bingo card.